Here we have it, folks, the Poco F7. You guys really made me spend my money. I did not have any wish to buy this, to be honest, but here I am. Here's a quick unboxing. Just the usual stuff. Phone case. Here's the phone. I got this wacky design one. I wanted to get the 500GB white model, but it was constantly running out of stock, and when I bagged it, the delivery date was too late. Actually, the delivery date was too late for all the 512GB models. To be honest, it looks tacky but also cool. However, it's really hard to keep it free of fingerprint smudges. And the phone is big and wide. It has a 19.5:9 aspect ratio, which feels similar to 20:9 aspect ratio phones, but at the same time, the difference is substantial in hand. It also feels much more premium than the Neo 10. By the way, the 12GB of RAM for the base model at 30,000 rupees is fantastic value. So handy for Windows game simulation. Also, I'm supposed to get 1 year of extended warranty, but I haven't confirmed that yet. I'm gonna post a bunch of comparison videos with the iQOO Neo 10 comparing various aspects of the phones, but in this video we will compare the most critical aspect for the target audience of these phones, that is performance. But before that, I have one request to you guys. It is getting harder for me to continue buying phones for independent reviews like this, as I don't make enough from AdSense yet. So I have posted a UPI ID in the description. It's a virtual payment address. If you wish to support the channel, you may donate any small amount you wish. Collectively, your donations will help me go a long way in this journey. If you donate anything, make sure to drop a comment down below and make sure to mention your name in the donation message when you donate through your preferred UPI ID so that I can identify you and differentiate your donation from the other transactions. Apart from that, make sure to hit the subscribe button as your support is invaluable to me. With that said, let's get right into it. Okay, so I'm not gonna run too many benchmarks. I am just gonna run 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme for 5 consecutive runs just to gauge how each phone performs in pure GPU heavy games, because those are the type of tests that I'm gonna do. Right off the bat, the Poco F7 just crushed the iQOO Neo 10 for the first run, whereas the Neo 10 performed really poorly in this pure GPU test. I know the reason behind this, and some of the older viewers on this channel by now also know about it. New viewers can go through my older videos to find out why this is the case. So clearly, the Poco F7 pushes the GPU of the 8S Gen 4 much harder and longer with less throttling. So this should mean that the Poco F7 will most likely perform better for graphically intensive story-driven games. Also, it's pretty clear to me that the 8 Gen 3 still has a substantially faster GPU. Anyways, so let's start with my favorite performance stress test, and that's Grid Legends, where I will run 5 laps of 22 cars in this very intense dusk time of day. The reason I test this game is because not only is this the most GPU heavy game on Android, but also you can completely tweak the internal configuration of the game to make the graphical options identical between devices to make the comparison absolutely fair. I have disabled dynamic resolution as well to prevent inconsistent load. The iQOO is running in monster mode and the Poco F7 is running in wild boost mode. Keep an eye on the power, thermals and performance. I also have the GPU clocks up there, but they may be inaccurate. I think the GPU clocks shown are divided by 10, so it does not show the unit place digit. And also keep in mind, this game is a lot less demanding at stock settings, as it's capped to 30 FPS by default in graphics mode and has a dynamic resolution enabled. So it's not as demanding as I have made it to be. I cannot recommend running these settings without a cooler, to be honest. Okay, so that's the end of the test. Let's take a look at the results. The Poco F7 maintained a small lead of 5% on average and was 10% smoother. It also maintained a 10% higher power draw and reached a maximum temperature of 48 degrees centigrade, which is 2 degrees centigrade higher than the iQOO Neo 10. Overall, technically the Poco F7 wins here, but practically I call it a draw as the minor 5% performance advantage for the Poco F7 is cancelled out by the 2 degrees centigrade lower temperatures of the Neo 10. However, I will test the same game with a cooler as well in another video because the Poco F7 is clearly capable of maintaining a higher power draw, so it's only limited by heat dissipation, which will be solved by the cooler. So we will test that in another video. Make sure to subscribe for that. Next game that we have here is Wuthering Waves. We will test the game at max graphics settings without enabling FSR upscaling since we want to stick to native rendering resolution. Now, for this game, I tried to make the gameplay identical, but the day and night cycle wasn't in my control and the enemy spawn wasn't absolutely identical. But I kept it as close as possible. I covered both day and night on both phones. In fact, I played the game for 3 minutes longer on the Poco F7 as my Poco F7 gameplay involved a bit more traversal. Once again, apologies to gacha gamers. I am not an expert in these types of games. I just smash buttons. This isn't even my account. Someone kindly lent it to me. And at the end of the test, here are the results. And in this one, we have a clear winner, and that's the Poco F7. The Poco F7 maintained a substantial 13% higher average FPS with nearly 28% higher smoothness. It maintained 6% higher power and reached a maximum temperature of 47 degrees centigrade, which is 2.4 degrees centigrade higher than the Neo 10. The substantially better performance on the Poco F7 gives it the clear win in Wuthering Waves. The next game is CarX Street, and for this we will play the first race and then do some open world driving. Again, we will play at maximum settings with 60 FPS cap. Now, before someone complains that the iQOO Neo 10 gameplay is during the daytime and the Poco F7 is during the nighttime, let me make it clear. CarX Street is a lot more hard to run at night due to the more complex lighting and reflections. And I have the iQOO Neo 10 gameplay numbers from nighttime as well. I had tested it in my dedicated Neo 10 performance review video. I will show it at the end as well. Okay, so here are the results, and it is a clear win for the Poco F7 once again. A huge 30% lead compared to the iQOO Neo 10 in average, 47% smoother experience. The Poco also maintained 50% higher power, but it only got 2.3 degrees centigrade hotter. It's a clear win for the Poco F7. In fact, compared to the nighttime results on the Neo 10, the Poco F7 has an even bigger lead of 38% in averages and 76% smoother experience. The Neo 10 pushed a bit more power during the nighttime, which confirms my statement that nighttime is more demanding than daytime in this game. Finally, I also wanted to test how the phones performed in some PS2 emulation. So here we are using the latest Nether SX2 Classic version 2.0 emulator, which supposedly has brought about more gains in performance, which is great to see. PS2 games are awesome, and PS2 emulation on Android is also great. So for this test, we are going to run God of War 2 at 5x scale factor, which is like 2.5K resolution using the Vulkan backend. This is really a very heavy test. I know it's pretty unnecessary as we are well beyond the resolution of the displays, but it's great for testing performance of so-called gaming oriented phones. Finally, here are the results, and I feel like a broken record at this point. The Poco F7 scores another clear win with a 25% higher average FPS and 61% smoother experience. It maintained a 32% higher power draw but ended with a marginal 2.8 degrees centigrade higher peak temperature. So here we have it, folks. I'm sorry I don't test BGMI or competitive esports games, but there are other channels for that who are experts in those games, so please refer to those channels for such games. But when it comes to games which simply require more raw power, the Poco F7 is the clear winner, at least in my test. It was a practical tie in Grid Legends, while it was a clean win in the rest of the test. And this is actually in line with what I experienced with the iQOO Neo 10 that I had purchased at the beginning of the year. iQOO really seems to favor a select set of games, and you never know how it will perform in some random game. My little Xiaomi 15 was performing better than the big iQOO 13 in GPU heavy titles. Same is the case here with the iQOO Neo 10. I'm not saying that Neo 10 is unusable for gaming or anything, it's still very good. But just keep in mind that iQOO phones don't have consistent performance characteristics. It tends to favor certain games like BGMI and some others and only perform well in those games. Xiaomi/Poco on the other hand just pushes power as per requirements of the game and tries to maintain it as long as possible, often ending with higher temperatures but also higher performance. And I do care more about performance when I'm buying a gaming phone and playing at maximum performance setting, because there are other ways to lower the temperatures like using a cooler. But performance, if it is getting capped artificially, is never good for a gaming phone. And that is what iQOO does. It is just not consistent. iQOO is good for certain games but not for others. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. Do let me know what you thought about this video and which phone do you prefer. More comparison videos to come, guys. This was just the performance test, but there are other comparisons to be had. So please subscribe for those videos. Your support is invaluable to me. Also, if you wish to support the channel for such independent reviews, consider donating to the UPI ID given in the description. Please don't forget to mention your name in the donation message so that I can identify your donation. That's all for this video. Take care and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.